As a part of English methodology, the lesson planning is very important one. So, we have to develop a lesson plan or the period plan. Initially we used to have the lesson, but these days we are calling it as the period plan. So, to develop a period plan or before going to develop a period plan, we must be aware of the various components of the lesson. Before going to develop the period plan, we must be aware of the various components of the lesson. So, in these components we have to concentrate on the phase sheet. So, the first component of the lesson plan is phase sheet. So, the first and the foremost step in any classroom transaction, it is a process to motivate the learner. So, here the classroom itself is meant for 45 minutes. So, in these 45 minutes the teacher is going to deliver the exact content as per the textbook or the syllabus, that is hardly for 20 to 25 minutes. So, the remaining timing that should be based on the activities or it may be in the form of interaction or making the student to participate or making them to read the lesson with the different types of readings or with the silent reading along with the loud reading, and one time the teacher has to read the lesson. So, the remaining 20 minutes will be considered for these all type of activities. So, the first activity, once the teacher enter into the classroom, first activity is by greeting the student. The next we have to start with the phase sheet. So, the first and foremost step in any classroom transaction process to motivate the learner. First of all, the class is going to be start with the motivation. So, the motivation may be by asking questions or which may be related for the last class or the last period, that can be in the form of based on the teacher's version. So, here this was the first step which should be there or which should be incorporated as a part of the process to motivate the learners. So, here the period plan is a very important one, and all the components of the period plan should be aware with the teacher. So, we are going to start with the period plan with the phase sheet. So, the phase sheet is incorporated at the beginning of each unit. Before going to start any unit or the lesson, it is going to be start with the phase sheet. So, the phase sheet is nothing but the teacher has to show any one picture which is related to that particular unit or lesson. So, once the teacher had shown that picture in the classroom, definitely the student will come out with their own ideas by looking into that picture. So, here there is a chance for having more number of questions come out with the students, as well as every child is going to show interest to participate on their own. So, this phase sheet is giving an opportunity for each and every child to participate actively in the classroom. So, this is the first step which we are going to start with the unit. So, this is incorporated at the beginning of each unit. So, as a language teacher, we have to make the student to attract towards our language, especially for the English language. So, the phase sheet is taking a crucial role in incorporating the classroom as very effective. So, by looking into the phase sheet, definitely that each and every child will participate, and the creativity of the student and the observation skill is going to be come out with this phase sheet. By looking into the phase sheet, if the teacher asks any question, how many members were there in the picture? Definitely everybody is concentrated on looking into the different types, how many persons were available and what exactly the picture is talking about, whether it is talking about the school premises or whether it is talking about a village or whether it is talking about the global wide or whether it is talking about the technical part. That is very clear by looking into that picture. So, the phase sheet is an important aspect which we are going to start with the unit. So, this phase sheet comprises of a picture or a quotation or related poem which is followed by some interactive questions. So, the phase sheet can be in the form of quotation. For example, we can give any quotation of famous experts So, based on that, if the child is knowing the other quotations, they will come out, teacher, I know this quotation, this was given by so and so person, and this was the quotation given by so and so person, the concept of this quotation was so and so. So, this is nothing but making the student to participate actively in the classroom, and the same time related poem. Based on that also we can make them to attract towards the classroom. And next one followed by some interactive questions. By looking into the face sheet, we can ask more number of questions. Even any question was missed by the teacher also, the student will try to question themselves and they are ready to give the reply answer on their own. So, here that is the importance of the face sheet. So, the face sheet can also be used to generate some discourses and develop the language skills among the learners. So, the face sheet is an opportunity for the learners. They are coming out with their own ideas and it is trying to make the learner for the improve their language skills. So, it is used to generate some discourses and it is also giving an opportunity to develop the language skills. Means here on their own they are questioning, on their own they are trying to speak out. This is nothing but the part of language skill. So, this face sheet is developing the language skills in the learners, and face sheet can generate genuine interest and interaction towards the theme and the reading text. So, the face sheet can generate genuine interest and interaction towards the theme and the reading text. Exactly, genuinely the student or the learner is trying to participate in reading the text or working out towards that particular theme. Means here the teacher is not at all forcing the student to look into the picture or look into the quotation or looking into the poem and come out with their own ideas. Here nobody is not interfering or nobody is not forcing the learner to look into the face sheet on their own. These type of learning is possible only for the face sheet. So, the genuinity is going to be come out with their own interest. So, by looking into the theme or by looking into the text. So, by looking into this face sheet, some expected outcomes will be available. So, exactly what the teacher is expecting by looking into that particular face sheet. So, the expected competencies of face sheet are learner come out with their perception of the picture or quotation. By looking into that picture or the quotation, they are saying that this is talking about that particular school, this is talking about one particular village. So, that is a perception made by the learners, and they talk about their understanding of the theme. Exactly what they are thinking about that picture also, they are coming out with their own idea. Here the child will not show any hesitation to speak out by looking into that picture. What is there in the mind, definitely they will try to speak it out and make intelligent predictions of the passage. So, whatever the passage or whatever the poem or the quotation or the picture is given in that face sheet, definitely they are trying to create an intelligent prediction. What exactly they are thinking about that particular, it is going to be come out. So, in this after this we are next step we are entering into the pre-reading. So, once the face sheet was completed, the next step we are looking into the pre-reading. So, the pre-reading involves introducing the recording text. So, the pre-reading, it involves the introducing the reading text. So, this is a reading, pre-reading, this is nothing but introducing the reading text to the learners. So, the teacher interact with the learners in an informal way in order to instill in them a sort of communication, which is nothing but after the face sheet the teacher is going to make an informal way in order to instill them in a sort of communication to make comfortably to speak with the teacher. Just it is a sort of communication. For that we are using the step pre-reading. So, after pre-reading, just coming to the reading part. So, the reading text is divided into segments, into parts. The reading text is divided into segments, means into different parts, and each segment is taken up for the reading. So, to the learner convenient, the teacher is reading the text by dividing into different segments, and each segment is taken up for teaching. This step involves a number of microprocesses. So, here especially the main objective of the teacher is to achieve the expected outcomes or to achieve the educational objectives, to fulfill the educational objectives. This is one of the major aspect as per the academic standards. So, looking into the academic standards, we have to concentrate on the majorly looking into the listening comprehension, speaking, reading comprehension, conventions of writing, vocabulary, grammatical awareness, and the whatever they want to write it in the form of oral or creative writing, oral or in the written form. So, as a part of academic standards to fulfill, to teach to the student, the educational objectives fulfillment is very important one. Fulfillment of the educational objectives, very important one. So, the fulfillment of educational objectives in the sense achieving the academic standards. So, the academic standards are making the teacher in teaching the tasks. So, giving knowledge to the student, giving skills to the student. Based on that, the learners are going to design their life, which is going to useful for the larger period or whole life. So, here concentrating on these academic standards to get perfection with the reading, the teacher is making the reading text into different segments. Why the teacher has to make the reading text into segments? Because the student should not feel tough in learning or in reading the text, in reading the different passages. So, that these segments are making the learner to read the text in a comfortable manner without feeling any stress or burden. So, the reading text is divided into segments, and each segment divided into different segments, and each segment is taken up for teaching. So, here the teacher is explaining all the passages by dividing into segments, by explaining one after the other segment, so that it is having continuity to the learners, and they are going to link how this segment is going to be linked with the next segment. Okay. So, it is a text divided into different segments, and each segment is taken up for the reading. So, the teacher is not leaving any segment. So, all the segments were covered for the reading, and these steps involves a number of microprocesses. So, the reading text is divided into segments, and each segment will be taken as very serious by the teacher to explain to the learners, and it is involving with the number of microprocesses. Then only the reading is going to be get success. So, in this process we have different types of readings. The first one is individual reading. The learner are asked to read the given segment and comprehend the idea in given passage. So, here the teacher is giving an individual opportunity to read the given segment and comprehend the idea in given passage. Means by reading that particular segment, as a learner what they understood, what they are feeling about that particular segment. So, they have to frame their own ideas by looking into the passage or by looking into the segment. The learner has to gone through the reading in a proper way, individual reading, and based on that they have to come out with their own comprehension, which is nothing but one of the academic standard, reading comprehension. Once they showed interest to read, then only the comprehension of the idea will be come out with the individual reading. That is the importance of individual reading. And the next is talking about the collaborative reading. So, it gives an opportunity to the learners to share their ideas in a group. So, here the individual reading is giving an opportunity for only the individual, one particular person or one particular learner, whereas coming to the collaborative learning, it is a opportunity to the learners. So, in the classroom it is meant with 40 students or 50 students. So, all the learners are sharing their ideas in a group, what exactly they understood by reading that particular segment. So, all the ideas are come out with this collaborative reading. So, this is a good platform for the sharing of ideas among the each and every individuals. This is the other type of reading. And the next type of reading is talking about the classroom interaction. Once they have the idea about their particular passage or the segment, with the individual reading as well as the collaborative reading, the teacher asks few questions related to the reading segment. So, the reading had done in two places, one is individual reading, the other one is collaborative reading, two aspects, individual and the collaborative. So, once they have the perfection or having with their own ideas, next all the ideas with the interaction sessions will be taken place, all the ideas collaboratively discussed with the teacher. So, this is with the classroom interaction. After individual reading, the teacher asks a few questions related to that particular reading segment. This is nothing but by point out one student, they are going to share their own idea what exactly they thought about that particular segment. So, this is like a classroom interaction. And the next type of reading is talking about the reading aloud by the teacher. So, the teacher reads the passage aloud with proper stress, pause, pronunciation and modulation of the voice. So, that the teacher, once they have the proper pronunciation of that particular word, where exactly we have to give a stress, where we have to give pause, pronunciation, how we have to pronounce the word and modulation of the voice. So, this is possible by the loud reading by the teacher. So, in the class the teacher has to go for once a loud reading in the classroom, so that the student will understand how the particular word should be spelt. That should be very clear with the learner. So, for sake of that, the teacher has to read the passage aloud with proper stress. If the teacher pronounces the word as per the pronunciation, definitely the student will definitely grasp how to pronounce that particular word. And modulation of the voice, for example, where we have and pronunciations or the punctuations, if we have the full stop, how we have to and what way we have to communicate and what way the sentence should be start, and where we have to give pause, where we have to give proper stress, and where we have to go for the modulation of the voice. If it is commanding word, definitely there will be a change in the modulation of the voice. So, these clarity should be given by the loud reading for the teacher. So, and the next one is talking about the mind mapping. This is also one of the important aspects in the classroom interaction. After reading the passage aloud, a mind mapping activity can be carried out for tracking the thinking process of the learners. So, they had gone for all the text, all the paragraphs by making it as the segments. So, the segments are making the learner to read the passage comfortably, and so that they can have their own idea. So, once they have these type of individual reading as well as a collaborative reading, and next the teacher is asking with the classroom interaction by asking or pointing out one student. After this, the teacher is giving clarity for the pronunciation of the word with a loud reading to the whole classroom, and the next step is mind mapping. So, after reading the passage aloud, a mind mapping activity can be carried out for tracking the thinking process of the learner. So, after completion of all the different types of readings, the next we have to look into the mind mapping. So, the mind mapping, it is an activity can be carried out for tracking the thinking process of the learner. This is also one of the important aspect like the face sheet. So, it is making the learner to think. The mind mapping is making the learner to think in a different way, or to think in a elaborative manner, whatever the idea they have. So, after this, then we are going for the post reading. The teacher has to negotiate the selection discourse with the learner. So, this is also one type of reading. So, the teacher is going to negotiate the selection discourse with the learner. So, the discourse is talking about in the form of it will be among the two individuals, or the communication among two individuals orally or in the written form. In general, here based on the topic, the teacher can negotiate the selection of the discourse within the classroom. If it is related to the writing part, the teacher can ask them to represent in the form of written, or if it is only for talking about the poetry, definitely the teacher can select the discourse of the oral from the learners. Once the target discourse is finalized, the students are asked to work individually or in a group and present it before the classroom. Once they have the idea of this, all the mind mapping, face sheet, and having their collaborative ideas among each and every individual, then the targeted discourse is come out and what extent they understood, that should be the finalized. So, the students are asked to work individually in group and present it before the class. So, to make our work as convenient by giving opportunity for all the students, here the teacher can make the classroom into different groups, 5 members in group or 8 members in group based on the number of students in the classroom. But each and every group should have an opportunity to present it in the classroom, so that all the groups individuals or all the group learners are going to be get satisfied. Once we have given opportunity for all the groups, among all the individuals in the group, everybody will show interest to practice or present on their own. So, here one is going to act as a leader and he is having command on the group members, so that the leadership qualities are going to be developed. And what way we have to manage the time being. For one group we can assign for 2 minutes or 3 minutes to share their ideas. So, the time management is going to be incorporated by these different types of activities as a part of the target discourse. So, indirectly we are making them to learn the life skills, which are very important one in their day to day life. For example, the time management, which is very important for the learners, especially for these at the school level. So, that discourse we can 100% make the justification. Whereas, coming to the presentation or talking to in the classroom or talking to something or presenting it in a proper way, or the communication, these are very essential parts in the learners day to day life, which is going to build a confidence among themselves. So, here especially the classroom is a good platform for the learners to represent or to present whatever the inherent qualities were there, that should be come out in the classroom or the school. That is the best place to give an opportunity for the learners. So, coming to next one is written discourses. So, the teacher can conduct editing as a whole class activity through the interaction. So, here nowadays we have the system of these writing examination system, not only the oral, the writing means the student should pass in the examination. They have to represent the question in a proper way in the examination. So, for that we have to develop writing skills. So, this is also one of the major discourse. The teacher can conduct editing as a whole class activity through the interaction. So, this is here the teacher should have more committed towards the fulfilling all the discourses within these 45 minutes of completion of the class, along with the successful completion of the one particular unit or topic as a part of this the written discourses. The teacher take up editing of a discourse constructed by one of the groups and then gives teacher version of the discourse. When there is a chance for the students giving these all the editing options to the teacher, immediately the teacher has to edit. The teacher has to edit. If is there any mistake, again the teacher has to give rectification or can give explanation what type of mistake they had done, exactly what type of words they have to incorporated in explanation part. These all the instructions should be simultaneously clarified by the teacher, so that all the participants in the classroom is going to be show interest in writing their activities, in improving their writing discourses. So, the teacher takes up editing of a discourse constructed by one of the group and then gives teacher version of the discourse. Exactly what way they presented, whether it is going to justification or the idea they framed by the group is the correct one or not, that should be clearly explained by the teacher. If is there any lapses, the teacher should give complete clarity or the teacher version of the discourse, so that the each and every student will focus on every point of the segment, the textbook. So, in this we can go for the textual exercises. So, at the end of the each lesson, the textual exercises related to the grammar, vocabulary and study skills. So, each and every textbook after completion of the lesson or the unit, definitely it is combined with the related grammar or vocabulary and the related for the study skills. So, to make these textual exercises, which can be in different forms. So, by giving guiding project work and reporting, So, here the rising demand for communication in English has led to the evolution of various methods to develop the communicative competencies among the learner. So, these days we know the importance of especially the communication in English language. It has led to the evaluation of the different various methods to develop communicative competencies among the learner. So, to make all these as a effective one, we have to look into the different projects. So, it is based on the principles of learning by doing. So, yearly the term learning by doing is promoted by 𝗳𝗏. So, the principles of learning by doing was promoted by 𝗳𝗏. Especially the learning can be achieved, learning is going to be get success only through the learning by doing, which is nothing but regular practice. Especially this was emphasized and focused a lot by 𝗳𝗏. So, the learning by doing. So, the project work intrinsically motivating as the students or active participant. If the projects were given to the student, definitely all the students will show a lot of interest, and indirectly the project is motivating whole class as a active participation, which was proposed by learning by doing. Means here in the learning by doing process, the two actions were done at the same time, at the same place. So, here the learning process will take in place as well as doing process. So, that these type of learning is making the learners to show more interest towards the learning, So, the project in a language learning is a task and on a particular topic where the content and presentation are principally determined by the learners themselves. So, especially talking about the language learning, the project can be as a task on a particular topic. In general, the project will be given on a particular topic and it will be distributed each and everything with the different aspects or the tasks for different students. So, where the content and presentation are principally determined by the learner themselves. So, why we are giving the project to the student? Why we are giving tasks to the student? Means here there is a particular reason should be there. So, particular learning should be taken place on that particular language learning. So, the content should be there and that should be presented in a proper way. That is a major principle in introducing or assigning project or giving tasks to the learners. So, based on this project or task, the learners or themselves they are going to learn the language. What they are learning? The content. In the language they are learning the content, and not only learning the content, they are representing, they are presenting what exactly the topic is talking about. So, this is possible through the project in language learning. By giving this project work, we have to follow certain steps. So, to make the project as success, we have to follow certain steps. So, the first step is talking about step 1, whole class activity on the nature of project. So, the whole class activity on the nature of project. So, these will be the general instruction for each and every student, whole class activity. This is here you are not bifurcating or you are not separating the student. This is in a whole class activity on the nature of project. Why the project is assigned to the student, that should be very clear to the learners, which should be clarified by the teacher. It is a whole class activity on the nature of project, on exactly what they have to work out. That should be very clear. And once it is clear, and the next step is designing tools for the data collection. To get or to achieve that project, to get the result of that particular project, they have to prepare certain tools for data collection. Tools in the sense that it can be in the form of questionnaire, or it can be in the form of interview, or we are following different types of tools to collect the data. And once the tool was ready, once the designing of the tool was ready for data collection, next the child is incorporated to collect the data. Once the tool is ready, for example, the tool can be in the form of yes or no question type, or whether true or false type, or it can be in the form of interviewing, or whether it can be in the form of like 3-point scale, or it can be in the form of 5-point or 7-point scale. Means here accepted, agree or disagree, strongly agree, disagree, or satisfied, unsatisfied, never. So, by using these type of words, we can design the tool for data collection. And the next one, once the tool was ready with the learner, we can make them to collect the data. So, here to collection of the data, the sample of the student should be very clear, and how many students they want to collect, or how many participants they want exactly, whether they want the parents, or whether they want the lower class students, or whether they want the higher class students. These all should be very clear. So, based on that, they will enter into the collection of data. So, the collection of the data, the teacher has to give certain stipulated time period, whether the data should be collected within 3 days or 4 days, and for how much sample it will be, around 20 students or 30 students or 50 students. These all the clarity should be very clear to the learners. So, after data collection, next we have to consolidate the data. So, whatever the data collected, for example, data is related with the 50 students. So, within these 50 students, the consolidating the data, or the considering the data, how many boys were there and how many girls were there, and how many male, how many female, and the next step considering the data. Next step, analysis and interpretation of the data. So, whatever the data considered, whether it may be male or female, or urban, rural, or schooling students, or 9th class students, or 8th class students, and how many boys and girls, age above 13 years or above 14 years, these all the considerations will be given. Based on that, the student is going to collect the data. Once the data was collected, we have to sort out. We have to sort out. So, analysis and interpretation of the data. Out of 50, 25 students were girls and 25 students were boys. Around these 30 students were above 14 years and 20 students were below 13 years. So, these all the different types of data which the student get from the field, from the collection of the data. So, once the data was collected, next step we are looking into the report writing. So, once the data is ready, we have to look into the report writing. So, while writing the report, we have to concentrate more on the few points. So, while writing the report, what are the major areas we want to focus, that should be very clear with the learner or with the those who are in a position to collect the data. So, that is in the part of report writing. So, while report writing, the objective of the data should be very clear, and how much sample they collected, that should be very clear. And the next one, what data they received and what are the interpretations they received, these all should be very clear. And the next step is talking about the findings, what they got by looking into the 50 sample of the data, what they received, that is findings. So, based on the findings, they can go for the interpretations. Based on that, they can go for the interpretations. So, after interpretation is ready with all the report writing, then that is going to be in the form of presentation. So, once the report is ready, definitely the learner is going to become as the getting ready for the presentation of the data whatever they collected, which is a part of the project work. Next one is talking about the study skills. So, the purpose of study skill is to help the learner to become independent of the teacher. So, here the teacher is giving all the instructions in the classroom. In the classroom, the teacher is giving all the instructions to the student while explaining prose, poetry or the supplementary reader. So, here the major purpose of the study skill is to help the learner to become independent of the teacher. Here the teacher can give meaning for one particular word. The teacher can give one meaning for that particular word to understand to the learner. So, based on this clue or based on the instruction, the child on their own they are trying to get more meanings, related meanings to that particular word, synonyms. What are the same meaning words are there? So, based on that we have to concentrate on the study skills. Those are very important one in acquiring the knowledge and acquisition of the skills. So, this is especially giving a confidence to the learner for the independent learning. Next one is talking about this we have to think into the note making. So, it is a product of the listening skill. Note taking is a product of the listening skill. Taking notes demands full attention on the part of the listener. As we are aware of the academic standards, listening comprehension is very important one. So, the listening comprehension is making this skill, means note taking as fruitful. So, it is a product of listening skill. Taking notes demands full attention on the part of the listener. If the listener is not paying attention, if the listening is not considered as the listening comprehension, then they can't note down the points in a proper way. So, to make the notes, they should be follow the listening comprehension. So, the taking down notes, it is full of attention on the part of listener, then only they can note down the important points. Next one is after note making, then we can go for the after note taking, then we are entering into the note making. So, it is the ability to jot down the important points and prepare notes from books, journals and whatever the resources we have. So, in the note taking process, while the teacher is explaining the concept, they are trying to note down the important points. Coming to the note making, the student on their own, the learner on their own having their ability to jot down the important points and prepare notes from books and journals. Here the student is considered for the textbook, that particular textbook. If the student is having interest to learn more about that particular topic, definitely they can sit in the library by referring so many other textbooks which are related to that particular topic and looking into journals or looking into articles on any other related material. So, once they have all the materials with them, definitely they are trying to jot down the important points and preparing their own notes to get full knowledge about that particular concept or the theme. That is about the note making. Next one, once the note making is ready, next they are going for the summarizing. So, it is very useful skill and it is essential for those who decide to be independent. So, here once they prepare their notes in the process of note making as well as in the process of note taking, the next one is summarizing. So, here they are gathering all the points from different sources, looking into different journals or articles or different books and through the internet and whatever the sources they have to acquire the knowledge, related knowledge, then they are going to summarize. So, the summarization is a very useful skill and it is essential for those who decide to be independent. So, here the summarization process is making the learner to be independent. They can have the confidence that they can prepare their own notes and they can attempt in what way the question is going to be come and they are going to give the reply answer in a proper way, because they are having lot of content with them, they are having lot of awareness about that particular topic by looking into all the sources of information, so that it is making the child or the learner to feel comfortable in the process of summarizing. In the process of summarizing, especially in the process of summarizing, the famous expert Robinson, in the process of summarizing, Robinson advocates the concept of survey, question, read, recall and review. In the process of summarizing, Robinson advocated the concept of, in the process of summarizing, Robinson advocated the concepts of survey, question, read, recall and review. So, in general these terms we are calling or commonly known as SQ3Rs. S means survey, Q means question, 3 R's means this is a combination of 3 related R's. One R is talking about read, the other one is talking about recall and the review, 3 R's. So, the formula is known as SQ3R. Next one is graphic organizers. So, it can be used to help student organize their thoughts before they start writing. So, here this is also one of the major skill which we can make the learner as effective learners, and also it is going to be helpful to organize their thoughts before they are going to start writing. In the graphical representation, but for example, they can go for as a tree diagram, or they can show in the form of Venn diagrams, or by giving number of patterns or the different types of graphical representations. They can organize their data, which is making them to feel comfortable in learning the subject. So, the major intention is the graphical organizers, it is making them to represent or keeping their thoughts before they are going to start writing. So, here this is nothing but their own ideas are incorporated in the form of graphical representations. Next topic is talking about the reference skill. So, right now we discussed about the study skills, the next part is reference skills. So, these reference skills provide a lot of information. These reference skills are providing lot of information regarding meanings, synonyms, antonyms and so on. So, the reference skills are talking about, or these are giving information regarding meaning, synonyms and antonyms, and these reference skills are making the learner for self learning. So, the teacher in the class can give one meaning for that one particular word. So, making the student to learn the words into different two parts, one is active and the other one is passive. So, active words and passive words. So, active words already they may studied in the last class, or they may studied in the previous class, or they may studied in the previous unit. So, already they know. Once we had given a word, definitely the student will give reply answer for the active words, whereas coming to the passive words. So, whatever the words were presently introduced or tough words, the first time they are listening in this unit only, those type of words are called as the passive words. So, the passive word meaning definitely the teacher has to give. So, to get more information or different synonymous words for that passive words, definitely they have to depend on the reference skill, and same way we can go for the antonyms. So, all the information may not possible to give by the teacher. So, these reference skills are making the learner for the self learning, and this self learning is creating lot of self confidence among the learners, because the vocabulary is going to be have enough with them, and they can give reply answer, and whatever the situation and whatever the word may be, they can give reply and they are ready to accept that problem. So, the self learning is possible through the reference skills. So, different referent manuals. So, to get the reference material or to get more information, we have different manuals like the dictionaries, the thesaurus and encyclopedia. These are the major reference manuals which are giving more information to the learners in creating the self development. Coming to the library part. So, the library is a very crucial for the learners. So each and every institution should be avail the library. So the library is a very useful resource center. So for all the educational institutions, including from schooling onwards, the library is a compulsory one. So here in the initial stages at the primary level, or we are talking about the pre-primary, primary, secondary and the higher levels. So in all the levels, by looking into the age factor of the student, by looking into the standard of the student, we have to concentrate on different types of books. So different types of books. As per if it is talking about the high school, so what type of books should be available in the library, that we have to keep in the mind, because the library is a very useful resource center. So here they are going to learn lot of knowledge in the library. So once the library facility is provided for the learners, we have to make them to avail the library, and the same time this library is making the student to utilize the timing in a proper way. If they have any leisure hours, we have to shift them to library and read something, so that they can learn at least few points, at least they may have some vocabulary with them. So for 45 minutes or 50 minutes, anyway they can read one text, one story or novel or whatever it may be, at least they have some knowledge about that. So the leisure time should be availed in a proper way to make them to sit in the library. And the initial stages, we have to concentrate more on the picture point of books, and based on the standard we have to increase the content part. So these days most libraries have catalogs called OPAC. So these days we have libraries have the catalogs. These days the most libraries have the catalogs called OPAC. So O is standing for online public access catalog. So based on this, the public can avail the online catalogs or online books for these acquiring the knowledge. This is an advancement of the library, and the same time we have to look into the importance of library, and these technology should not be misused for the library part. So based on this, these days we are more concentrated on the not only reading the textbook or all the informations for available, and every student is showing interest to learn through the computers. So even libraries were not satisfying by the student, because once we are sitting in front of the computer, if we have the internet resource, definitely the plenty of information is going to be available. So the computer is the most commendable and powerful of the educational equipment. So here in the textbook, the limit is very prescribed and may not be having that much colorful effectiveness for the learners. So once they adopted the computers, this is the most commendable and powerful of the educational equipment. So these days all the examination systems or study or material which is available through the computer. So this is a powerful of the educational equipment. So the computer is making rich contributions to several aspects, especially the teaching learning process in the classroom. So here we are following the classroom, till today we are following the classroom only for the lecture method or age old method. We are following only for the age old method. So this age old method means only lecture in the class, only explaining to the student, looking into the textbook, making them activities or making them to read the textbook. But this may not have that much effectiveness in learning the subject, not only the English language or any other subject. So once we had taken the advancement of the technology part, definitely the computer is making a rich contribution to several aspects. So the computers are making rich contribution to the several aspects, especially the teaching learning process in the classroom. Instead of teaching all the lessons in the routine method or the regular practice, in the middle we can have some classworks like usage of the technology part, so that the student will come to know the importance of the technology and what way that technology is helpful for the present educational scenario, and what way it is going to be helpful for the learner as well as to the teacher. So, in the classroom we can avail the digital classrooms, whatever the topics were more interested and more useful for them in their day to day life and along with their future. We have to concentrate more on the by showing it in the form of PowerPoint presentations. It can be in the form of digital lessons. So, these all the different areas which we have to focus and making them to the know importance of the computers. So, the computer is making a rich contribution to several aspects, especially the teaching learning process in the classroom. So, in this in the initial stages we used to have only the classroom method, like only the lecture method, that is teacher centered method. So, these days the teacher centered method is not at all useful in any stage, high school stage or the primary stage. So, to make the classroom as very effective, in the initial stages we used to have CAI. In the initial we used to have CAI, computer assisted instruction. So, this is an extension program for early 50s. In those days we used to have only rote method, like teacher has to teach and the student has to by heart the lesson, or going for the recall and recognition and all those process. Later some modification were taken place in the extension program for the early 50s, that is computer assisted instruction, CAI. And the next, computer assisted language learning. Computer, especially this CALL, it is talking about only for the language learning. So, in the CAI it is giving on an extension program for early 50s for all the subjects. So, the CALL, computer assisted language learning, it makes interactive learning possible. It makes the interactive learning possible. So, in the CAI it is going and giving an extension program, it is giving a program to the learner, whereas coming to the computer assisted language learning, it makes the interactive learning process and it helps to apply the principles of programmed learning and record on the system. Once the program was recorded on the system, definitely whenever the student is feeling to learn, they can access that recordings. So, here based on that we have to focus more on the planning part. So, the planning is very important one in our daily life. So, here the planning can be success through only the proper planning. First of all, the teacher should have the more attention towards the planning should be with the comprehensive planning. Just it is not an easy task to complete the planning. So, once the teacher is dedicated towards this planning to make it as very success in achieving the expected objectives, which we are talking about the academic standards. So, academic standards are nothing but achieving the educational objectives. Once the objective was achieved by the learners, once the objective was achieved by the teacher, definitely the topic or the content is going to be useful and it got success. So, the objective completion or getting objective as success is totally the responsibility of the teacher. Whereas coming to the talking about the aim part, it is a long term process. Okay. So, this way we have to keep in the mind in planning the classroom for annual planning as well as the period planning. Thank you.